Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge here with I believe this is day 8 of Firestorm Reveals. Yeah, day 8. We have a bunch of solar stuff today, so let's get into it. This is very exciting for solar. Solar's needed a lot of help, and I think we're finally going to get there this set. So first up, we have Soul Bell, Champion of Apollo. Is a 1/4, not fantastic sound line, so is the defensively stand stat line issue that a lot of solar stuff has. When this soul bell is foretold with your Apollo's effect, you may special cast it with solar. So similarly to the Exaltus that we saw before, this is really good at just getting bodies on the board so that you can ascend over it with solar's really powerful ascensions like Lestragon and Celestia. So this is really good at that. Way better stat line than a Tad Puff. Like really solid stat line for that kind of effect. Pretty decent card. It is like kind of a garnet. You kind of really don't want to see this card in hand. Is the thing which can make Corvashine like a bit more useful because it's something you do want to put back on top and then trigger Apollo with. But Corvashine is still not great. So that is an aspect of Soul Bell that's really not fantastic because like anytime it's actually in your hand, it kind of sucks. It doesn't really do anything. It's a vanilla with bad stats. But what it does while in your deck is really powerful. Then we have Soul Stalks, Champion of Apollo. This is a 6/6, 2 solar. When you cast this Soul Stalks, you can search your deck for a Soul Bell and put it on top of your deck. Really nice. Immediately turns Soul Bell completely online. I don't think you're going to really go for old Soul Bell with this, but you could. There's a possibility that you end up doing that in some builds. And then you can expend a solar in order to return a divine rune to its owner's hand. So this is really strong. First off, really appreciate that the stat line on Soul Stalks is balanced. One of original Soul Stalks' biggest issues is that a 4/7 stat line is really not great. 4 attack is just not enough for you to ever go offensive with it because you're going to get walked over by any 5 in the game. So you just end up sitting in defense the whole time and you're not really getting anywhere. So this doesn't have that issue at all. Really fantastic. And the 1 solar to bounce a divine rune is really nice because it's either going to let you bounce back your Apollo or Zeus so that you can reuse it before it gets completely spent, or it's going to let you look at your opponent and go, okay, you're playing Champion of Zeus. I'm going to bounce this Zeus on your field back to your hand so that 1, you're going to have to reinvest in setting up the Zeus, and 2, I don't have to worry about any Volt Tempest coming down on me this turn when I walk over your guy. Very good effect. Like this card a lot. Like really, the problem is that the competition for Solar 2 cost is really steep. Like there's a lot of really strong 2 costs in that lineup. It's just like lining up the fodder to get you there, and we definitely have that now. Like Soul Bell and Exaltus are both really good at getting fodder onto your field for you to ascend over. Then we have the Exaltus, of course, and then we have Plucky, Champion of Apollo. So this is a 1/3 that is when you normal cast it, you get to search your deck for a new artifact rune, Lyre of Apollo, and add it to your hand. When you cast a solar rune, you can return a solar from your underworld to your spirit deck. So unfortunately, that does open up to Spoiled Fruit, but that is a really powerful effect. It makes First Light effectively free. The Lyre is a 1 cost we're going to talk about in a moment, and it makes it basically free. It makes Apollo a lot cheaper. Lots of good stuff, and like God forbid we get like a real solar counter rune that this can also work with. Like really good card, and the stat line is not an issue. Don't you worry. So that artifact rune is Lyre of Apollo. So this is a 1 cost solar artifact rune. that swaps the stats of the empowered Elestral, and then every champion of Apollo on your field gets +2/+2. This is really good. So you slap this on the Plucky, for example, it becomes a 5/3. Really good stat line. Soul Bell with this on it becomes a 6/3. You buff up your Soul Socks to 8/8. Does a lot for your more passive stat lines in general. Like, this is a super, super good card. This card's incredible. One of the best artifact runes we've seen. If you're casting it with Plucky on the field, it's effectively free. Just really, really good card. Yeah. And this is the kind of stat buff that you're like, yeah, I don't mind paying 1 for this. Like, this is what you pay 1 for all the time with Zeus. Totally fine to pay 1 for that. Yeah. It does have the slight issue of you want to send in solar because a lot of your power stuff is in those 2 costs and sometimes those 3 costs. And doing so will get rid of your artifact rune. But if you're getting like what's it called? If you're getting like a Lestragon on the field, you don't care that much if you're losing this 1 cost artifact that you've got for effectively free anyways. Really, just cannot stress enough how good of a card this is. Really, really nice. And then we have Solar Charged. This is a hollow rare for some reason. This is, I don't think this card is very good. So Solar Charged is a 1 cost solar invoke rune that does effectively become free under Plucky. You enchant a solar from your underworld to an Elestral on your field. So there is one place where this card will probably be very, very, very good. And that is in Larva Cell decks. Because in Larva Cell, you cast out the Larva Cell, you cast it with a Thunder. Then you can go cast Solar Charged, put a Solar onto Larva Cell, and now Larva Cell's effect to Ascend happens, and you're going to get the whole line. That is pretty good. That's a pretty good application. In normal Solar decks, I don't think you're going to run this. Like, Solar doesn't really have good receive effects, like that sort of high-value receive effects you see in some other colors. And this card is, like, not too great anyways, as is. Like, Full Moon has a lot of cute stuff it can do. But Full Moon is not a card you would run if not for the fact that you got a really good special ascension off of it. And effectively a 1-card combo. Solar Charged is... It doesn't take from your deck, but it doesn't really do anything. It's not like it's a counter rune either, so you can't just flip it up and go, ooh, jump scare. I'm getting extra damage. I have an extra buff from Temple of the Sun, or I buffed up my Nebuleo, I think it's called, a bit more. Yeah, I don't think this card is very good. We have one last thing to talk about. Creator reveal for today is Panzer from PK Sparks. This card we saw in the binder. We couldn't make out what it does. Now we know what it does. So this is a 3/4 Earth Elestral. That when you cast it, you can enchant a number of Earth to this Panzer up to the number of Elestrals on an opponent's field. When this Panzer is destroyed in battle, you can draw a card for each enchanting spirit on it. This card I don't think is very good. It's better... No, it's actually worse than Original Panzer. Like, Original Panzer has seen some tech usage more recently because of the fact that it just gets spirits from your underworld, and that's a pretty good thing to be doing because that gives you more spirits to play with. This Panzer doesn't do that. It needs to enchant from your spirit deck, and then it's just like, oh, I draw cards on a delayed basis. Like, you are almost always going to be drawing 2. But, like, this card still doesn't seem very... I think it would need better stats to be very good. I don't know. Maybe I'm underestimating the card, but I just have a really hard time seeing this card be good. This card just does not seem good at all. Now let's talk collection numbers. So this Panzer is number 16. So 16 is right here. That gives us bare minimum 8 Earth Elestrals. However, these 3 slots are almost certainly at this stage going to be Earth Elestrals. What that means with Panzer at 16 is that these 3 would all be standalone Elestrals. Now, one of those is likely Dratalia, unless they decide to print a Latagon, a new Latagon in this set as well. Which they might, we'll see. But otherwise, those would all be one cost. So like, there'd be 2 more here. So we'll have to see what those will be. And other than that, there is also the possibility that Panzer's getting like a new Ascension. They could just go, yeah, Panzer has an Ascension now. We're introducing an Ascension for Panzer in this set. And that'd be pretty cool. That would go in slot 17 if that's the case. That'd be really neat if that's the case. Really exciting if that's the case. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. For the solar stuff from this video slot into 65 through 68. That means that solar is done for this set. Because as in every other element, we have seen that champions come before non-champions, which means there's no space for non-champions, and we could only get more champions if it's like a 2-stage line. However, if solar is indeed done for Elestrals, what that means, what that guarantees, is 3 whole more Frost Elestrals. That's a lot. That's quite a few. One of those is probably more Frost, but who knows what the other 2 are. We will just have to find out together. Of course, that could end up being like some off-element stuff, like stuff that's actually support for another element. Like for example, what happened with water with Narpun and Waylance, or what's going to happen in Earth with Spine Nymph and Spinosect, the Hermes ones. So that could happen. Also, quick note on Narpun and Waylance. These 3 slots are perfectly filled by the 3 remaining Poseidon champs that we know about, which like makes it all the more likely that the champs of Poseidon and Zeus and Hestia and Hermes that we see in the Star decks are the only ones. We aren't getting any more in the set. And this last slot for water is most likely Harpy. So yeah. Is there anything else to touch on here? Oh yes, runes. Runes. So the 2 solar runes are in slot 95 and 96. So that would put any lunar runes will put us up to 97, 98. So that's what would happen there if we get any lunar runes. I imagine we're getting at least 1. I wouldn't be surprised at all if like lunar phase takes like a more frost type direction where like we get 1 new lunar phase every single set for a while. Given that Dan has confirmed that we're getting more lunar phases. So I'm personally expecting us to get another lunar phase in like slot 97 for at least 1 lunar rune in the set. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Lots of exciting stuff. Still really excited to see what all these fire and wind runes that we have slots for end up being. But yeah, that is it. Tomorrow we will finally get a look at what the Earth stuff is going to be doing. Because there's a lot of slots to fill, and I'm really excited to see what that stuff is. Given the pattern so far, the Earth reveals will probably be focused on Champion of Demeter stuff. So we'll see what that champion archetype is up to. And with that said, this is Hunter Surge, signing off.